Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Happy Friday. So, Brandon Paul testified today, and let's just say I was expecting more. I was expecting a lot more than what was given today because this case, you know what? Here's his testimony, and you'll be the judge. You decide because I can't with this case. This case is pure BS. So Brandon Paul said he started working as Diddy's assistant in late 2022 after finishing college and stopped working for him after getting arrested on March 25th, 2024 at a Miami airport. He said he was heading on a family vacation with Diddy when police found cocaine in his bag. He said it was in my Goyard bag for personal assistant duties. He explained that he was sweeping Diddy's room and picked up the cocaine to move it, but forgot it was still in his own bag before they left for the trip. Brandon testified that he first heard about the chance to work as Diddy's personal assistant from Eli Maroon, one of Diddy's former assistants. Brandon said, he told me to get in, to get out. If you have a girlfriend, break up with her, and you are never going to see your family. He took that as a warning that the job would be intense and take up all his time. A really tumultuous job that required all of my attention. Brandon said he interviewed for the job in fall 2022 at Diddy's home in Los Angeles. Before going in, he gave his ID to Diddy's security and signed a non-disclosure agreement. He then met with Christina Coram, Diddy's former chief of staff, and Frankie Santella, Diddy's music manager, for about 20 minutes. A few days later, Brandon, started working for Diddy. So in the beginning, Brandon said he worked out of Diddy's LA home and mostly got instructions from other assistants. He split tasks with Diddy's other personal assistants and helped with travel plans, packing, workouts, meal prep, and music-related duties. Brandon also said he rolled marijuana joints in Diddy's garage. Brandon said he usually worked between 80 to 100 hours a week for Diddy. He worked about 4 to 6 days a week, but was always on call. He testified that his starting salary was $75,000 a year and later got a raise to $100,000 a year. Brandon said he was paid by Combs Enterprises. He said he traveled a lot for work, while he flew on Diddy's private jet 3 or 4 times. He usually traveled separately to arrive early and set up Diddy's rooms. So when you walked in, everything was seamless and he had everything he needed. He added that sometimes other staff, like stylists and photographers, would travel ahead with him too. When he traveled, Diddy's travel manager booked all his arrangements. Brandon said the longest he ever went without sleep was during the release of Diddy's latest album in New York. He stayed awake for about 3 days, only catching short naps. I was young, so I was able to handle it. He also testified that he took prescription Adderall and used cocaine rare times to stay awake and alert. He admitted to smoking marijuana as well while working for Diddy. Brandon said his main job was to make sure Diddy was always happy. He testified that Diddy told his assistants they'd need to work like SEAL Team 6. Brandon said Diddy fired him 2 or 3 times, and one moment really stuck with him. In late October or early November 2023, Brandon said he forgot Diddy's Lululemon fanny pack when Diddy wanted to go for a walk. That's when Diddy told me, "I don't want to see your face," and call KK and tell her you are fired. Brandon said Christina Korem told him to lay low. Not long after, she sent him to London to set up Diddy's hotel room around Diddy's birthday. Brandon said Diddy never brought up the incident again. He also said it was not a thing to go to human resources about any problems. If anyone had an issue, they went to Diddy or Christina. Brandon testified that he saw Diddy use drugs like cocaine, ketamine, ecstasy, and marijuana about once a month, but said there were other times when Diddy seemed high. The jury was shown a photo Brandon took early in his job showing powdered ketamine and Molly dyed pink for the aesthetic, according to his testimony. Brandon said either Diddy or another assistant would tell him to go get drugs for Diddy. He testified that he bought marijuana about every 2 months, paying $4,200 for 16 ounces. He said he got it from Philip Pines, one of Diddy's former assistants. Brandon said he bought other drugs for Diddy fewer than 10 times. Sometimes he paid around $300 to $500 for 1 to 2 grams, and other times he picked up packages without paying himself. He also said he would sometimes text a drug dealer, and the dealer would deliver drugs directly to Diddy's home. The jury was shown text messages from February 2024 between Brandon, a drug dealer, and another assistant, Jonathan Perez. Brandon testified that Jonathan Perez connected him with the dealer to get drugs for Diddy. The dealer asked, "Is it for you or Puff?" Brandon replied, "Puff, but please don't disclose that. You can tell whoever it's for me." Brandon said once he got the drugs, he either gave them directly to Diddy or placed them in a Gucci pouch where Diddy kept drugs. He also said he picked up prescription drugs for Diddy at pharmacies, either under Diddy's real name or the fake name Frank Black. The jury also saw a message Diddy sent Brandon on February 14, 2024, asking for Xanax. Brandon said Diddy did not have a prescription and he was not able to get it. Brandon said Christina Korem did not really want him involved in Wild King nights, but he still helped set up and clean up a few of them. He said Christina was the one who called them Wild King nights. Brandon testified that during his time working for Diddy, he only remembered one of Diddy's accusers, Jane, taking part in a Wild King night. He described Wild King nights as involving partying, alcohol, sex, and drugs. Brandon said at first these nights took place in hotels, but Diddy stopped holding them there after the Cassie lawsuit. The jury saw an iPhone note Brandon said was written by Christina. It was a February 2023 schedule around Jane's birthday trip to Miami to visit Diddy. The note read, "Be ready for Wild King night at her hotel," and most likely Wild King Day continued at hotel the next day. Now, this contradicted Jane's earlier testimony that Diddy gave her the impression there would be no hotel nights during that trip. Brandon testified that when he set up for a Wild King night for Diddy, he made sure the room had baby oil, alcohol, small toiletries, extra sheets, and towels. He said the assistants shared a list with all the items needed for those nights. Brandon said he usually got the supplies through Diddy's property managers, but if he had to pay with his own credit card, Diddy's financial team would reimburse him. He also testified that he once gave Diddy $5,000 in cash before a Wild King night and said he got the money from security. Brandon said another assistant told him they once left cash for Diddy in an envelope at a hotel front desk. During these nights, Brandon said Diddy would sometimes reach out to him by FaceTime or audio message. The jury was shown a photo of sex shop outfits that Brandon had sent to Diddy. Brandon said Diddy had asked him to go to the store while he was with Jane, but never replied after Brandon sent the picture. Brandon testified that he cleaned up hotel rooms after Diddy's Wild King nights about 3 or 4 times. He said the rooms were usually in disarray and he would gather used towels and sheets into a pile and throw away empty bottles of baby oil and alcohol. Brandon said, "I wore gloves for sanitary reasons." He also testified that one time he saw a white powder in the room that he believed was drug residue. The jury was shown a photo of a hotel room with sheets covering the furniture. Brandon said he took the photo and sent it to Diddy's travel manager as a warning there might be damage charges from the hotel. The jury was shown a selfie of Diddy, Christina, and Brandon taken on March 25, 2024 on a private jet. Brandon said they were about to fly to the Bahamas for a family vacation with Diddy. Brandon testified that he has not seen or spoken to Diddy since that photo was taken. He said he did not tell police the cocaine found in his bag was not his. When asked why, Brandon answered, "Loyalty." He also testified that the charges against him were dropped because I have a really good lawyer. Brandon said he completed over 20 drug classes and took random drug tests. So now it's cross-examination by Diddy's attorney Brian Steele. Brian Steele asked Brandon about his background and pointed out that he once walked onto the Syracuse University basketball team. Brandon said he works hard, aims for perfection, and was willing to work long hours for Diddy. He added that working for Diddy gave him valuable exposure to the music industry. Brandon confirmed that dealing with drugs was only a small part of his job. Brian still asked, "You were not some drug mule, right?" Brandon replied, "Absolutely not." He said he believed the drugs he picked up were just for Diddy's personal use. Brian still then asked if Brandon thought Wild King nights were also personal for Diddy. "I consider it to be like an escape," Brandon said, adding that he believed it was Diddy's private time to be with Jane. Brandon testified that he often spoke with Jane, one of Diddy's accusers, before and almost every time after a Wild King night. He said he never saw anything that made him think she was hesitant or unwilling to be there. You hear this? Everyone who was asked about Jane always said the same thing. She wanted to be there. She didn't look like she didn't want to be there. She looked like she was enjoying herself. So, I don't know, but I will touch on that on a different video. So, Brennan testified that his March 25, 2024 arrest was over a small amount of cocaine that he said was for Diddy's personal use, but he had accidentally left it in his travel bag. He made it clear that neither Diddy nor Christina asked him to travel with the cocaine. Brandon said he told law enforcement that everything in the bag was his, but then He testified, "My heart dropped when the agent pulled out the cocaine because he had not meant to bring it with him." Brian still asked Brandon if he would ever work for a criminal. Brandon replied, "Absolutely not." Brian still then asked if Brandon felt indebted to Diddy for all the experience he gained while working for him. "I guess. What do you mean by indebted?" Brandon asked. Brian still followed up by asking if Brandon learned a lot from Diddy, and Brandon said yes. When asked if he had good experiences working for Diddy, Brandon answered, "For the most part." That was the end of cross-examination. Now with redirect, prosecutor Christy Slavic asked Brandon what he believed was happening during the Wild King nights. "There was sex happening and partying," Brandon said. He confirmed that he was not inside the hotel rooms, so he didn't know for sure if anything illegal or inappropriate was going on. Then Christy Slavic asked, "Sitting here today, how do you feel about Mr. Combs?" Brandon replied, "It's complicated," before stepping down from the witness stand. And that was all for Brandon's testimony. So you guys, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that notifications so you don't miss any new updates. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.